Nick, it's nice to spend some time with you. We've had a lot of discussions with superintendents around issues of student learning and ownership of their learning. I'd be curious to know how your district has approached this sort of new population of student that says, I'm not a consumer anymore, I'm a creator, even the youngest students, and taking ownership of that learning. How are you looking at documenting that and communicating out their learning to parents and families?
I think one of the things I'm most excited about when it comes to changing the paradigm of learning is that it's not about standardized tests anymore. It's really about life readiness. And so what we're seeing is, we want kids to get good scores on standardized tests, to get into colleges and have opportunities, but we have an increased emphasis on credential programs and career-ready opportunities. So we have kids leaving our schools with credentials where they can walk into high-paying jobs as an 18-year-old if they choose, or they can use the skills they got in acquiring that to move on to the collegiate level or whatever is next.
How is that then? How does that impact your communication, just as a leadership team, to parents and families within the school community so that they understand sort of the direction? Because we're finding that the communications teams of districts are getting much more mature in the way in which they're communicating on a regular basis, and so that communities know that it is a different model than you and I grew up with.
Sure. I think the message is that there are many pathways to success. So for example, we just celebrated a young man who has been working part-time at a local manufacturing company while going to high school, and he earned his metalworking certifications. They've announced they're going to hire him full-time and pay for his college education to become an engineer. And so by way of his opportunities, he's going to get a free college education that's leading right into a career where he's already familiar and they know him. And so that's not a traditional way that parents might think of.
That's a great story for sure.
Yeah.
So that's very forward thinking of you and your district. Let's take that one step further and look at funding. So I think a lot of people can agree that we're getting quite a bit more sophisticated in the ways in which we're trying to address budget shortfalls and looking at different means and methods. And some districts are looking at the private sector, corporate America, to help offset and to engage them into their districts. How are you looking at alternative funding and ways to sort of open up the possibilities?
Absolutely. If I keep with the same story, that manufacturing program we partner with local industry, and we have an advisory group of CEOs and plant managers that meet with us monthly. And so when it comes to needing new equipment, that's not in our budget. I mean, we're talking multiple hundreds of thousands of dollar machinery. And so they will help and partner, and they'll help us buy the machines to put in our classroom that match what's on their shop floors, so that we're teaching kids on the machinery that they need employees to understand. And so we create this symbiotic relationship where they're helping us provide a relevant, industry-relevant education, and we're helping present the next ready workforce.
What does that do to your teachers? I bet that emboldens them to feel empowered that what they're doing is actively being connected to when their own students leave the classroom, that it's we're not just sort of dropping them off at graduation, that they're doing that and participating within the classrooms in your schools.
Yeah. When our teachers can bring back former students to tell our current students what opportunities are there if they follow that particular pathway, and I'm talking about manufacturing, but we have similar pathways in technology and culinary and hotel restaurant management, and so creating those pathways that are relevant to jobs in our community, when those other kids come back and tell the stories, I mean, it's almost a pat on the teacher's back of thank you what you did for me, and here's what I'm doing now because of it.
Nick, let's talk a little bit about K-8 when it comes to technology and the way in which we're threading the needle, understanding that what we can do with the younger students now sets them up for success to understand the opportunities that you're laying out as a district. How are you refining your even technology purchases and discussions around how the youngest students can be engaged in a way that really fits where they are developmentally?
Sure. Well, full disclosure, we're a high school only district in Illinois, so all of my students are grades 9 through 12.
So you've already got that mastered, that K-8.
Exactly. But the challenge we have regarding K-8 is I have 7 elementary school districts and 3 parochial districts
that are feeding into you.
Yeah. And so I have 10 different starting points before the kids ever get to us.
And are you seeing any consistency with what those, in essence, feeder schools, with what they're doing or what could be improved in that area?
Well, we created a freshman course that's a requirement for graduation called digital literacy. And so it's a reset button and a common understanding for what technology is and does for you. Because some kids are coming in from a K-8 experience with no device in their hands. Some are coming in with having used iPads or MacBook Airs. Some have used Chromebooks. And we're a Chromebook district, but we have to hit that reset button and kind of center everyone back as ninth graders to move forward.
So take us behind the scenes a little bit. Does that mean that there are or need to be more conversations with these feeder schools so that they are supported in a way that ultimately we wouldn't have to press a reset button?
No, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean,
Yeah.
we meet monthly with all those elementary superintendents also. So we have a network and a kind of a professional learning network of ourselves. So it's not that so much. It's helping the kids acclimate to all being in the same school together.
Yeah, and getting them on the same page.
Sure.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your path. Did you ever envision being a superintendent? Was it a goal of yours? I'm finding a lot. There are happy accidents out there that I think are refreshing and it's inspiring too.
Actually, I had dinner last night with my mentor when I was a first-year teacher. And he encouraged me to become a dean of students after 4 years of teaching. And he thought, demeanor, I'd work well with students, so I listened to him, and that put me on a pathway I never expected. I wanted to be a high school math teacher and a soccer coach and tennis coach my whole life. That was the pinnacle. And I was in a school district that was growing rapidly. We were building schools, and opportunities came up, and I just kind of rode the wave for a while. And I found that I absolutely love being a superintendent. Having that opportunity to make organizational decisions that can impact thousands of students is really fulfilling.
Nick, are we doing a good job of identifying the Nicks of the world in that way, in a very conscious and proactive way, so that we can select talent that is out there that may have never thought that they could ride that wave or that was a possibility?
I think we need to do more to encourage. One of my colleagues and I have created an Aspiring Superintendents Academy in Illinois. We have over 800 school districts, and there are usually about 100 brand new superintendents every year.
100.
Yeah, whether they're changing jobs or they're brand new to the position. And so we're trying to make the job accessible to more people, make them understand how to build a network and how to support the work that you're doing. And because we really see it as we're creating our future colleagues and helping them.
What's the response to that?
We had our inaugural group last summer, and we were trying to get 30 people. We ended up capping it at 40 with a waiting list, and we're taking applications for this coming summer's program. But what's neat about it is we can give them some content, but really the important piece is building a network, a support system for them.
Community.
Yeah, so when you get into the job, you know who to call, and you have friends to support you, and you support them, and then together that makes education better statewide.